Okay, continuing with problem 8-4A on page 397. I will move on to note 3. First, we'll calculate the due date. Okay, note 3 is dated July 20th with a term of 120 days. So days in July is where we'll start. Okay, it's going to be equal to, we won't count those first 20 days. There's 31 days in July minus the 20 that already occurred that we're not picking up. Means 11 days that we're going to pick up in July. Days in August, 31. That gets us to 42. Days in September, 30 days, so that's 61, 72. Let's keep going. Days in October, 31, so that's 92 plus 11 is 103. 103 so far, so days in November will be equal to 120 minus our 103 that we've already picked up. Let's make sure that's right. 31 and 30 and 31 is 92 and 11 is 103. That's it. So how many more days do we need in November? Well, it would be the total days 120 minus the 103 we've already picked up from the previous months. So that gives us 17 days in November. Now that should sum, and I'm using that sigma auto sum function here, to 120 days. So our due date would be November 17th for note 3. Let's go up and put that in the chart. You guys on the test, you don't have to show this, and you really don't even have to show your work on this. If you want to just put in the answers, that's fine. I can give you partial credit though if you show me the formula you use to calculate the interest, but there's no partial credit on the due date. You don't get like half credit for the month or anything. Alright, so let's calculate interest due at maturity for note 3. It's going to be equal to 42,000 times 0.06 times 120 divided by 360. It gives us $840 interest on note 3. Okay, let's go to note 4. Okay, note 4 is dated September 6th, so days in September. Well, there's 30 days total in September, minus the 6 that we're not going to count, that occurred before the start of the interest. You don't count the day the note was drawn because for interest to build up, time has to pass off. And on the 6th of September, no time has passed off on this note yet. So 30 days in September minus the 6 that we're not counting in these calculations gives us 24 days in September. We're going for a total of 90. So days in October. We'll pick up 31. Okay, that gets us to 55. So days in November, it's a total of 30 days. We're trying to get to 90. So that's 55 and 30. It's 85 days. So days in December was 90 minus 85 that we've already picked up. You can do that in your head. 5 days in December. Gets us back to our total in the term, 90 days. So the due date on note 4 will be December 5th. Now let's calculate interest on note 5. It's going to be the face amount, $54,000, times 7%, times 90 days, divided by 360 days in the year. So that comes to $945. Okay, note 5. Note 5 is dated November 29th. We're going for a term of 60 days. So days in November. Well, in November there's a total of 30 days. So that's 1 day after the 29th. We're going for a total of 60. So days in December. We'll pick up 31. That gets us to 32. So days in January. Well, we're going for 60 total. So equals 60 minus the days we've already picked up, 32. This is 28 days in January. And that should total back to 60, and it does. So our due date for note 5 is January 28th. Let me point out something else on note 5, you guys, how it's a little different. Remember, this business, they don't specifically say that, but this business uses the calendar year, January 1st to December 31st, as their business or fiscal year. So notice with note 1, it began in March, ended in April. Note 2 began in April, ended in June. Note 3 began in July, ended in November. Note 4 began in September, ended in December. But note 5 is different. It began in November, but it's not going to be due until the next fiscal or business year in January. We'll need that information a little bit later. That's how note 5 is different from the remaining notes, or from the previous notes. Note 6 will carry over into the new year as well. So let's do it. Okay, it's dated December 30th. We're going for a total of 30 days. So days in December. How many days after the 30th? Well, there's 31 days in December. So 1 day after the 30th. And days in January. We don't need that underlined. Alright, if we're going for a total of 30, we've already picked up 1, then we need 29 days in January. And we can see that, but let's add them together anyway. 30 days matches our term. So the due date is January 29th. And note that one began in 1 year, carried over to the next. We'll need that in one of the later instructions. So January 29th is the due date on note 6. Oh, we didn't do our calculations on note 5. Let's take care of that and note 6. I'm sorry, got a little bit ahead of myself. Going back to note 5, I'm sure you guys noticed that. I apologize. The face amount was $27,000. As we said, also called principal. That might be what you're more familiar with. Okay, 27,000 times 0.06 times, on note 5, it was a 60-day term, divided by 360. So interest due at maturity on note 5 is $270. On note 6, it's equal to $72,000 times 0.05 in interest. A common mistake, you guys, would be to put in 5% as 0.5. But you guys know 0.5 is 50%. 0.05 would be 5%. Then times, we're dealing with 30 days on note 6, divided by 360 days in the year. So that gives us $300 interest on note 6. Okay, you guys, that concludes the first instruction. Instruction 2 we're going to skip. I don't think that one's of very much value to us. So we'll pick back up in the next videos with instructions 3 and 4. Thanks.